Palestinian leader Abbas and others to talk about or brokering. He would not be the first president of Mideast Peace agreement between the two. Hope always springs eternal, of course, but we're told, at least in these early stages, Doug, that neither side wants to do anything to poo-poo the talk of progress or that they will meet. What do you make of that?
Yeah, I mean, the Middle East, as you know very well, is a graveyard for statesmen since before the British. It's so we'll see, and maybe an out-of-the-box thinker like Donald Trump, who doesn't come with a great agenda other than an agenda of wanting to achieve success. Maybe he can find a solution. It seems like some of the participants now are willing. They want a solution. I haven't seen that kind of an atmosphere for a while.
We talk about the $100 billion plus in deals with the United States and Saudi Arabia. Different reports that the Israelis didn't like that. Maybe that's about overkill here, but for U.S. defense contractors like it, and some electronics giants like it, and our Dow likes it, of course. But we see a lot of these deals that don't get much attention in the press, but they're pretty real. I mean, not that we dismiss all the controversies around the administration, but this other stuff is real. These are palpable deals with palpable, very real projects. What kind of spillover do you think that will get?
Yeah, I think that's the key to what's going on right now. I mean, our own national media, I think, is missing the whole point. They talk about Donald Trump as flip-flopping. Well, he said this, now he's saying this. Well, he's a negotiator. That's how you negotiate your salary or the sale of your house. That's not flip-flopping, that's negotiating. So he brings some real imagination to some of these deals, and he might find solutions because of it. As you point out, Wall Street's kind of bemused by this and hopeful.
Yeah, that's a very real transaction to them. That's real money. You know, we make a big deal of style. You're very good at looking at the things that other people might overlook, Doug, and that is how leaders appear to be getting along. Famously, Ronald Reagan, while he got along with Mikhail Gorbachev, the two wives did not, right? Raisa Gorbachev and, of course, Nancy Reagan at the time, and much is made of that sort of thing. Do we overstress that? I mean, I have no idea here what the case is, but what do you make of that?
I think personal relationships can have a big impact, and if you read all of Henry Kissinger's books, you see how impactful they can be. We are human beings, and sometimes, especially French history, Napoleon III, the stories of his personal experiences explain the French economy. You can't understand a history without understanding personal relationships. So sometimes they have a lot bigger role to play than people think. I mean, that's the backbone behind the Monroe Doctrine. Sorry for me to go so far back, but Maria Monroe wanted to get married and she didn't want the diplomats at her wedding. So personal experiences and the wives and the kids, they can indeed impact history.
You know, much was made at the time of Anwar Sadat and Menachem Begin and how they grew close to Jimmy Carter. Menachem Begin, those relations soured after a famous peace agreement, of course, after the assassination years later of Anwar Sadat himself. But these things can be fleeting, so you strike on a deal when the iron's hot, right?
Yeah, that's exactly right. And that's where I think this hope is coming from right now, is that Donald Trump seems to have the will to make decisions, to take decisions with less fear than most heads of state going into these negotiations.
Were you surprised that the president, while he was in Saudi Arabia, his critics say, oh, you got to... He made a point of not doing that, and that he wouldn't judge or dictate or lecture other governments on what they should do, that now is not the time for that. What do you make of that?
Yeah, you know, I have studied that royal family for years and had many friends back and forth, and and have met with King Abdullah II of Jordan, so I know some of the players and I was surprised. It illustrated for me what a thirst there is for some real politic in the Middle East after Obama.
Thank you very, very much, Doug Wead. They're introducing the respected First Ladies, and of course the participants themselves, the Prime Minister of Israel and his American counterpart, President Trump. Let's listen in.
Ladies and gentlemen, please rise and welcome the President of the United States, Mr. Donald Trump, and the Prime Minister of the State of Israel, Mr. Benjamin Netanyahu.